Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Relationships, and it's by user Llamas and Kittens. My girlfriend, 28 female, is pissed that I, 29 male, gave my ex, 28 female, money, even though it was for my son, 5 male. Not entirely sure whether this is the right place to post, but I'm being told two different things and I would like some insight. Carrie is my ex-girlfriend. She and I have a 5-year-old son together. Even though she and I couldn't make things work between us, we do our best to co-parent, and next week is our son's spring break. Normally, I would have him that week, but I'm not able to get off work, and when I told Carrie this, she was disappointed but understood. So, to make up for it, I offered to pay for her and my son to go someplace for that week. And Carrie talked to him and he decided on Harry Potter World at Universal Studios. It's only a couple of hours drive, so we agreed. I wrote a check to Carrie. Obviously, I would not make it out to my son because he's 5 and doesn't have a bank account, for the cost of tickets and hotel. And even though she said I didn't have to, I added some extra for food and souvenirs. What's the point of going to a fun place if you only eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and can't bring anything back with you, right? I made a record of it in my ledger and thought that was that. This is where my girlfriend Anna comes in. Anna and I have been together for 9 months. We don't live together, but she spends a lot of time at my house and I spend a lot of time at hers. Yesterday, while she was over, we got into a fight because she saw my ledger and saw that I wrote a check to Carrie. I explained what it was for and Anna said that there was no excuse for me giving her that much money on top of the child support I pay, especially since it was higher than the cost of tickets and a hotel. And if it was really for my son, why did I record I made the check out to Carrie? Then Anna said she's sick of me constantly giving money to Carrie on top of child support. I do sometimes give money to Carrie, but it's definitely not constantly. And it's only when my son needs something, not just like for her to go shopping. Like some time ago, my son wanted to sign up for soccer day camp over the summer, but Carrie had said no because she wasn't going to have the money by the time it would be due. And she mentioned it to me, so I offered to pay. It was only $75. Or when my son was outgrowing his bed, instead of making him wait while she saved, I just bought him a new one. It was from IKEA, so not expensive. Things like that. The one time since we broke up that I did personally give Carrie money was when she needed help on medical bills. She doesn't have health insurance and was in the hospital with an infection, so I paid half of the bill. If I remember correctly, I paid like $240 and I paid them directly. But that was before I was even with Anna, and I still consider that to be for my son because Carrie's his primary caretaker, and if she's not healthy, then that upsets his routine. But Anna brought that up too and threw it in my face. Now, to be clear, Anna and I have been discussing moving in together, but no plans have been made and we do not combine our finances. Anna said I'm enabling Carrie to be irresponsible with money and that I'm prioritizing Carrie over her. I would say if I'm prioritizing anyone, it's my son. I'm not going to be prideful and refuse to give my ex money that would benefit my son. I pay child support monthly, but crap happens and I have the means, whereas Carrie struggles a little. And Carrie has always shown me receipts and stuff. I trust her, but I guess it just gives her peace of mind, whatever floats her boat. So it's not like she's telling me she needs money for my son and then spending it on herself. She'd never do something like that. I told Anna that my son comes first, and if Carrie needs help with him in any way, then I have to do it if I can. She said that my son would not suffer for not going to Harry Potter World and that I was just paying because I felt guilty about having to work. Then she accused me of still loving Carrie. I guess I'll always have a special place for her because we have a child together, but I definitely don't love her. I mentioned this to my mom, not the fight with Anna, the Harry Potter World thing, and asked if I was in the wrong. She said no and that I was nice to treat my son. Then Anna tells me I wouldn't be wrong to treat my son, but the amount I gave Carrie was way too much. I don't really know what to think. Maybe Anna would have a point if our finances were combined, but they're not. Does anyone have any insight? I love Anna, but I feel like the underlying reason is that she feels I could have spent that money on her. Sometimes she can act a little spoiled. OP, in the words of Wayne Campbell, Squeeze me? Bacon powder? What is up with Anna? First of all, what is she doing looking at your ledger? That's an invasion of privacy. Unless it was like open in the middle of the living room and she tripped and fell with her face right in it, that's just not right. But to me, the best, the kicker, is when she goes and says that there is no excuse for you giving that much money on top of child support. It's like this girl is oblivious to what is her business and what isn't. Your finances are your business, not hers. She doesn't get to have an opinion on what you do with your money. And hold on, because this is just 9 months into the relationship. So OP, hang on to your hat if you're going for the long haul, because it's only gonna get worse. In my opinion, Anna owes you an apology for sticking her nose in your business, which she shouldn't have done. And she definitely needs to adjust her attitude regarding this point, or multiply herself by 0 in this case. And just to be clear, I mean multiplying herself by 0 as in disappearing from the relationship. And what do you guys think? What kind of advice would you give OP, or what would you do if you were in his shoes? Let me know in the comments section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Tomato50 says, Anna was unkind to say what she said. Making a big deal out of who the check was made out to? How petty. What were you supposed to do? Hand your 5-year-old a fat stack of cash? A check is way easier to keep track of. You're a good dad. A lot of guys would refuse to give their ex anything other than the bare minimum, and it shows incredible maturity on your part that you're able to put aside your differences with Carrie and put your son first. Anna is pretty dense not to realize that, and if I were you, I'd rethink the relationship. And OP responds, that's what I was thinking. It obviously had to be made out to her, but that doesn't mean it was for her necessarily, so I don't get that part of Anna's argument. Thank you. I was raised to treat women with respect, and to me that includes the woman I fathered a child with, even though we're not together anymore. Bitchy Sill says, I'm the ex-wife in this situation. My ex and I had a horrible marriage and a very tumultuous divorce. Then he met his now wife and he calmed down a lot. As a single mom, I struggle a lot. Child support doesn't just pay for the food in the child's mouth and the clothes on his back. It pays for the roof over his head, the electricity and water, the car to drive him places, and gas. It's for a lot of things. When I would struggle and my ex would find out, he would give me some extra. If I asked for something small, he gave it, no problems. We split medical bills for our daughter 50-50. A lot of times I would just pay the copy myself because he did so much extra. But the key in all of this is that his now wife said nothing about it. He never went beyond what he was comfortable paying and she didn't say a word. Same for custody issues. We have a very lenient custody arrangement. She and I have a great relationship because the only issues she talks to me about is to make decisions about things directly related to the raising of our child. I don't even think they discussed child support. He had that figured into his bills and everything ran smoothly. The upside to this is that there was no animosity between the two of us. We regularly sit down to chat when we're doing the bi-weekly handoff. I'm very unorganized, so she keeps up with my daughter's calendar and sends me Excel spreadsheets with my daughter's summer schedule. We make it work because all 3 of us co-parent. We have our roles and we don't step out of our boundaries. Silver Raven 1189 says, you know, it really warms my heart to read about how you make sure your son is taken care of. In this situation, Anna is plain wrong. It's obvious that Carrie isn't taking advantage of you, showing you receipts, making sure you know you don't have to be so generous. If everything you say is true and all the money you give Carrie is for your son and she doesn't foolishly spend money on new clothing or herself every single day, what you're doing is the right thing. I would maybe see her point if you were sacrificing building a life with her and Carrie spent money really foolishly, but that doesn't sound like the case. I would seriously reconsider your relationship with Anna. If you plan on staying with Anna, do you think she'll treat your son like a part of the family? If Anna gets pregnant, do you think she'll insist you treat both children equally, or do you think she'll ask you to favor her child? God forbid what happens if Carrie dies. Would Anna be a good mother figure for your son? Will Anna make your son feel welcome in your home or try to make sure he stays away? Additional information from OP's comments. Just to clarify, Carrie and I were never married. Carrie and I definitely have our differences, but we both realize what truly matters, and it seems like Anna is trying to spin that into something it isn't, which is what's really bothering me. When I told Anna about how Carrie being healthy benefits my son, she said I was grasping at straws to justify giving money to Carrie. For Carrie, $500 is a good chunk of what she makes in a week. And yeah, I didn't have to pay half, but there was no reason not to. I guess Anna doesn't really understand what it's like to be a parent, and I'm seeing she's a little less mature than I'd like my significant other to be. Regarding my ledger, it was on my desk, not hidden or anything, but I definitely didn't invite her to look at it. I told Anna about the trip, but I guess I didn't find it necessary to discuss the cost with her because we don't combine our finances. If we did, then I would have let her know beforehand, but I still would have paid for the trip because, like I said, my son comes first. Anna and I are only just starting to talk about moving in together. It still wouldn't happen for another few months or so, but now I'm rethinking having her move in though. Also, I don't specially want more children, and I have been putting off Anna meeting my son. Now I feel like that was a good idea. I'm seeing a side of her that I didn't before. Alright, well, the community gave some pretty solid advice, OP needs to do some thinking, and we got a lot more context. So now, let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. I know that this sub likes updates, so I thought I'd go ahead and post one now that everything is resolved. I'm the guy who wrote his ex, Carrie, a check so that she could take our son to Harry Potter World over spring break since I was supposed to have him that week and ended up having to work. My girlfriend of 9 months, Anna, was mad at me for doing that because she thought it meant I was still in love with Carrie and that I was prioritizing Carrie over her. So, after I read all the responses you guys gave, which I really appreciated, I was pretty sure I was going to break up with Anna, but I wanted to at least talk to her first because if she was apologetic, then the relationship might have been worth salvaging. She came over and I told her that my son would always come first and that I'm not prioritizing Carrie over her. It's just that if Carrie needs help with my son, I have to help her. I also said that yes, I did feel guilty about not being able to take my son that week, but it was my money to spend because our finances aren't combined and that she didn't have any right to look at my ledger in the first place. Anna responded pretty much how I thought she would. She burst into tears and said that clearly I still loved Carrie if I was writing her checks and constantly giving her money. So she actually didn't listen to anything I said. I told her I was sorry, but this wasn't going to work out, and for about a week she kept calling me to try to get me to change my mind. I realize now I probably either need to date women who fully understand upfront that helping my ex with my son doesn't mean I still love her, or women who have children themselves. I feel like Anna was maybe a little immature, but I think she also just didn't have any experience dating guys with kids. Anyway, my son loved Harry Potter World. He got his own wand and brought me one too, and was so excited to show me all the pictures he took, and Carrie had a great time too. I was a little sad about the breakup with Anna, but when I saw how happy my son was, I knew I made the right decision. When he's out of school for the summer, he's going to spend a week with me so Carrie can have some time to herself. So there are no hard feelings there. All's well that ends well. Thanks for all your advice. I was pretty sure I was doing the right thing, but Anna just made such a federal case out of it that I started to doubt whether I was being inconsiderate of her. But really, she was being inconsiderate of me and my son by extension. Alright OP, even though you broke up and you were a little bit sad, I'm gonna count this as a happy update because, let's face it, you're happy now. And your son had a great time, so congratulations and thank you for sharing OP, take care, and now let's move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Petty Revenge and it's by user Deleted, trying to buy a house from the most entitled couple I've ever met. Years ago, we decided to move closer to my parents. The housing choices were slim, but we found a dilapidated house close by. It looked like it needed lots of work and seemed overpriced for the area, say $200,000. We organized a viewing to decide on it and brought my very practical dad with us for a second opinion. The viewing was conducted by the owners and from the very beginning they were off. They'd never sold a house before, we were the first people to view it, and they actually said to us during the viewing they were doing us a favor for offering us their hoarder's paradise house at such a great price. We told them we wanted to move closer to my parents, and I think they assumed we were desperate. We got home, had a think, and the next day offered the agent a price below the asking price, which we believed to be suitable for its condition. Hours later, the agent calls back and says that the owners are going to pray on it for a week, then give us an answer. For your information, this time span is unheard of in my country, and answer is usually given in a day. A week later, they decline our offer. We offered the agent another $2,000. The agent calls back and apologetically tells us that the sellers refuse to give us an answer yet because A, they haven't even started looking for a house yet, and B, the owners believe they can sell it for more than the asking price now. So they will get back to us when they were ready and we'd have to wait. We rescinded our offer. A month later, we find a house in the same area with a lot less work needed and at only $180K. Our offer, through the same agent, was accepted and we moved in 4 months later. During this time, the agent calls us and says the entitled sellers have found a house now and would like to offer us their house at the original asking price. We declined. I was interested in the progress of the old house. The sale sign had not moved, so I chatted to the agent. He told me we were the only offer in 6 months and these people had been an absolute nightmare from the start. They expected the agent to pay for cleaners ready for the viewings and wouldn't take any advice to help with the sale. Remember? Hoarder's house. He also said that they recently put a deposit on a house against his advice before selling theirs, so now the old house is going up for auction because they needed the cash. I instantly called my dad. He was looking for a property for my sister and had already seen the house. He was interested, so off we popped to the auction house on the day and bid for it. The owners were in the room but hadn't noticed us. When the hammer went down, Dad owned the house for $110,000. He signed off the sale and paid the deposit just as the previous owners came to the office. Their faces were a picture. I gave them a crap-eating grin and left. Well, I think this is where you need to put one of those "you played yourself" memes for the owners of that house. Yeesh. Well played, OP. Thanks for sharing. Now let's move on to the final post. This post is also from the subreddit Petty Revenge, and it's by user SuperDarkTimes2020. My boyfriend cheated, so I ruined a childhood friendship. I would like to start this off by saying that this isn't something I am proud of. It was the one and only time I had ever done anything like it. I told my partner from the beginning of the relationship that if he ever cheated on me, I would sleep with his best friend. He had mild insecurity towards his friend being into me, so I figured it was a perfect revenge as they hung out almost every single day and were friends since they were children. Every time I would say that to him, he acted very shady a lot, so I was suspicious. He would get all weird. 9 months into our relationship, I find out he was cheating on me the whole time. I, of course, went through with my threat and messaged his friend asking to hang out. I slept with him that night and ruined their friendship. They haven't spoken since, and that was 2.5 years ago. Well, OP, he was warned, you followed through, and you're a woman of your word, so good for you. Thanks for sharing, OP. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I really did enjoy reading them to you. So if you did, then don't be shy and go ahead and give the video a like. And don't forget to subscribe or even share this video with people that you might think will enjoy my storytelling. Also, if you have the time, go down to the video description and check out all the links I have for you, from our Discord community to my channel merch. And finally, I'd like to say thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me that you enjoy my videos. And having said all that, I'll see you guys in the next video.